of the scenario. What happens when there is a tap leak in your home and you need a plumber ASAP to fix it? You probably will go through your contacts trying to find one. And there's definitely someone in your home who would say, check on Urban Company. That statement is a testament of the trust and reliability that Urban Company has been able to build in India over the years. Urban Company today is known as a leader and a disruptor in the home services industry. Started in 2014 in a very fragmented services industry, it has revolutionized how Indians access and buy home services. Today, Urban Company stands at a market capitalization of around 23,000 crores, supporting a network of 40,000 gig workers. And not just that, it is serving 8.4 million Indian users as of May 2026. Some of Urban Company's major milestones have been expanding globally, being a unicorn in the year of boom in 2021, the IPO in 2025, and now in 2026, going ahead and launching its own products under Native and Revamp. At the heart of Urban Company is its three founders, Arjun Bahel, Varun Khetan, and Raghav Chandra, who is here with us. Thank you, Raghav, for joining us today. Raghav is the co-founder and the Chief Product and Technology Officer who leads product, design, and automation. With an engineering degree from the University of California, Berkeley, Raghav spent his early years at companies like Twitter and Yelp before moving back to India in 2013 to pursue entrepreneurship. A creator at heart, Raghav has always been deeply hands-on with a natural inclination towards building and problem solving from an early stage. His ability to combine technical excellence with real-world impact has not only shaped Urban Company's growth, but also redefined how technology can empower livelihoods at scale. His work and leadership have earned him recognition across prestigious global platforms, including Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia, GQ's Most Influential Young Indians, and Fortune 40 Under 40. His journey is one of vision, resilience, and meaningful impact. And we couldn't be more delighted to have you here, Raghav. Thank you for joining us today on this Sunday morning and giving us 1 hour of your time.
No, quite a delight being here. Thank you all for sparing Sundays. And if there are young mothers here, happy Mother's Day. I'd also say this is the first Zoom meeting where it almost feels like a live stream where all the emojis are exploding. So I'm quite enjoying the fun exploring emojis on my screen.
I think you'll see more of them along the way in the next 1 hour. So we are quite, I would say, high on emojis that ways. Okay,
Good.
so driving straight into your journey. So I would want to take you back a little bit on your journey. You're a hardcore engineer, you've studied engineering, and you had a great job at Twitter, one that a lot of people would dream of. So how did entrepreneurship find you? Or how did you find entrepreneurship, if that's the way?
I think it's been 2013 is when I moved back from the US. And I was very young when I moved back. I was 23. So I think when I was in my younger US life days, very early on, I got the clarity that the fun of life, the fun of your career and stuff like that is really if you get to solve problems you care about. And it was very hard for me to over there dream about what problems do I really care about if I'm working on all of this high tech consumer social network stuff. I care about these problems where I have grown up, and I'm a Kanpur boy. That's where my family is from. So I got the clarity that yeah, if I have to solve meaningful problems, the meaningful part of problems for me rests in India, in an ecosystem where I associate with those problems. So I realized, okay, it's time for me to move back. So that and much to I think a lot of inside my family debates and wars about why do you want to move back right now? Why don't you do an MBA? Why are you moving in like 2 years of work with the US mein ho? Why do you want to come back to India? My you know Chuck prevailed. So I've moved back. Um, and then after moving back, I was kind of figuring, okay, what are the problems I care about? And Urban Company happened to be the second attempt. Before this was another attempt I was doing. It was called Buggy. It was in the ride sharing a technology for auto rickshaw drivers, kind of an Uber for X model. So I attempted that. And again, look, I think you'll realize all these projects I'm doing are usually they usually have some undercurrents, usually mass market appeal, um, deeply rooted in some sense of employment, empowerment. That's kind of been things which I have cared about a lot for a long, long time now. So yeah, so that didn't work. That was my brutal reality to what entrepreneurship should mean, because I thought I was an ideator, a creator. But then I realized, there's a difference between an inventor and an entrepreneur. Inventor will just do from the purity of their heart, but you kind of have to also figure out what are the problems which users care about, and how big something can be and how do you market. So my 4 or 5 months of my first startup was a brutal reality on what is marketing, what is entrepreneurship, uh, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think next time when I found my co-founders, we were jamming. That's when Urban Company happened. We were a lot wiser about it, and they had the same experience as well. Their first startup was a nice uh, knock on the head, saying, "Okay, this is what you do. This is what you don't have to do."
Quite interesting. And it's interesting that you mentioned Buggy and also the fact that your co-founders for the audience here, the co-founders Abhiraj and Varun also previously had a enterprise called Cinema Box, which was a movie streaming platform, which also did not work out. So all with Varun, both of with Raghav, Varun, and Abhiraj, all of them were coming from a place where their first stint at entrepreneurship didn't work out. So I want to now ask you, is there any lesson or anything that you learned from your first stint at entrepreneurship that failed that you carried forward when you started building Urban Company and you were like, this is something that I know, that I don't want to go forward with?
Absolutely. Whenever I draw experiences, I always caveat by saying everyone's journey is very different. Uh, but I've realized you need these stories to actually tell yourself more than tell others. So these are stories which I've told myself, which have done me well. So, doing, building anything uh, is very hard when you do it alone. So that was a solo journey for me, and I think I was fairly strong kid, emotionally. It's still very hard, and I've seen so many people just struggle from the emotional burden of uh, you have to build something. It's only rosy for the first weekend where you're ideating. When you start to execute, the harsh reality start to seep in. Team nahi hai, paise nahi hai. Consumers don't want what you are trying to sell them. It's a it's a bit of a roller coaster, right? Everyone actually, family and friends start to get you also, right? Every week, every 1 month, they're asking, "Kya kar rahe ho, beta?" And every time you have the same answer. Abhi after 2 months, 3 months, it really starts to play on your mind. So I was a happy cookie. I shifted young, so I didn't have the burden of maturity and all of that. But yes, I realized that if I have to do it again, I would really value strong co-partners, team members, people I can look up to, and they look up to me. Uh, so that was one thing. I think I was also very young उस समय when I started the first journey. I wanted to do it solo. I wanted to do it purely with whatever I want to do. And I realized वो cap हो जाता है. You run out of your own solo ideas. You need a team, be it partners or employees. You need people to think. You're not going to be the smartest person always. Um, and I think there were just some things which I think everyone learns with age. So for me, I'm an engineer by profession, so I learned the concept of marketing. Um, in large scale uh, efforts for us, we end up raising capital often historically. So I was very ignorant of the fact that you have VCs and you can actually raise money and take loans. As a 23-year-old, I was like, "ये तो, how I don't know what this is." So I learned this. I learned the concept of market sizing and stuff. So, you can have a great product you want to sell, but if no one wants to buy it, what's the point? Right. So when I worked with Abhiraj Varun, this is before UC. Now they are hardcore consultants and I'm a hardcore engineer. Right. So Working with them, first 1 month was creating big Excel sheets, looking at किस, like we had 5 6 ideas floating with us, right? So किस चीज का कितना बड़ा market है, and we used to run Facebook surveys, look at like Google reports just to understand, basics of what is the competition like, why hasn't anyone solved this problem so far, things like this is what I learned from that right before UC started.
Very interesting. And I think you also made a very important point about, I would say, having partners or having people who can, debate you even on ideas and throw up your ideas and come up with yours. So that's interesting. And also the fact that you pointed out the boring stuff comes first, the Excel sheets and the surveys come first before you start to see anything. Talking about the beginning of Urban Company. So, Urban Company, the entire idea when you started building it was at a time when a country like India was not tech enabled. And I think even with the sector being so fragmented, how did you look at it? Wasn't like it a huge task for you to even convince service providers to get onto this platform, convince them that they will get customers? I'm sure you had your doubts. And because our entrepreneurs in the room who are early stage were still trying to validate their product, have their doubts. How did you all grapple with those doubts?
That's entrepreneurship is a skill set of uh, navigating your doubts because ideas and execution keeps changing. So you have to get really good at playing your own mind. So yeah, so I think what we were clear is this is a big broken problem. Um, and math was saying that, our own personal experience was saying that every house, like uh, I've seen the Western world, I've seen India. I mean, both places services are hard, but especially in India, it's hard, right? Like I've seen my mom, my grandparents, my dad just keep like every day, वो how do you train your cook, maid, वो carpenter आता ही नहीं है टाइम पे, उसको इतनी बार बोला है सर मैं I'll come at 4 o'clock, वो 4 o'clock on which week he is not told, he'll come, then he'll be like अच्छा सर हाँ देख लिया, and tomorrow I'll come with the product replacement, right? So it's like these are all real problems. So you're like yes, anecdotally makes sense, math makes sense, let's start off. Um, and first 1 month was very different from how actually the rest of the journey is evolved, because first 1 month you have no one, like nothing built. We actually took 1 month to build out a very basic product, website and stuff. But us month mein kya kya, we used to go to Khan market, just local markets, literally stop random people on the street, asking them, hey sir, would you want a yoga instructor? Oh, you're having a birthday, would you want a birthday party planner for yourself? And that's how we started. Because you don't need something fancy, right? When you're piloting something, it could be as rudimentary. Idea is to quickly understand, is there any market pull? So that was good, right? First step, we tried that. We got a certain sense of, yes, there's market pull. People do want this. They just want it solved well. Then came the journey of, okay, now let's start to get partners. And that's been an interesting evolution. Um, yes, India at that point was not as empowered technically, like technology wise. So we used to go and this was 15, like almost 12 years ago. So we used to go to partners and, each professionals are also on a ladder of like economic curve, right? So when you'd go to carpenters or beauticians, yeah, some of them didn't have smartphones per se. So we used to go convince them, ki, "Yeah, you'll be empowered through business. You have to go, let's go get yourself smartphones." We used to teach them. I think I remember at some juncture, we literally had to give people battery packs because batteries were so, like they would run out so quickly. Now, now smartphones have solved all of that. So you should do that. Um, but why all of this worked was because we are very clear of, like, why would the partner be so interested in working with us? Why would they leave a salon shop? Why would they join us? It's a risk for them also, right? We were sure that it has to give them better earnings. And as long as it was that promise was holding true, they will be willing to go with us. They will be willing to let us show them the way of how do you do business in a bit of a new age gig economy model. Um, so yeah, uh, that worked. That's how we kind of this partnership between UC and our partner base, and we are very very coupled, right? Like we use them to understand how do you kind of make things better, so on and so forth. So it's a very, they're the heart of our. It's a services company, so the partners do form the heart of our operations. Um, so that was the starting. What did change over time is our thesis on. So we thought if we can connect you to a good partner, life is sorted. But that was not true. For some categories, customers said, "Kya meko, I don't, you're giving me four options." We used to give options. Like first version was, uh, we'll give four options to you. You choose the best partner. People said, "Meko char nahi chahiye. Just give me the best partner. You know them." So okay, fine. Then some people said, "You know what? Why can't you just tell me, like, why can't a partner show up at 4 o'clock? Why do I have to talk to them and, figure out what time someone should come?" So like, oh, okay, interesting. So as soon as we started to go deeper, we realized that now the onus of quality is on us. We can't be a reviews platform where I have reviews on 30 people and it's the customer's headache. That shift was a very, very big pivot for us, because that's what made us go down a whole fulfillment, like controlling the whole stack and the whole experience bit. That's when we started to get into training. We started to get into procuring of all the tools the partners need. Abhi pedicure tub, some partners might have it, might not have it. If you have to guarantee a good experience uh, to a lady who's called a salon therapist, uh, yeah, we'll have to make sure they all have the same tool and the standardized tools, and they're all clean and they're all the latest tech. So this pivot for us happened in 2017, but it fundamentally changed um, a lot of things we do.
Right. I think you,
Yeah.
I think Urban Company has also set the standard by building a full stack model and also setting it standardization in terms of training of the service providers. One interesting thing that comes out of is this, there must have been a cost to, training, and there must have been a decision, a trade-off that you must have made in terms of whether we should invest in training or whether we should invest in something other. So how did you make that decision? And if I put it bluntly for all the other entrepreneurs in the room, do you think that quality should, in the in the immediate decision, quality should override growth in the long term, or growth, how you look at it in the next 2, 3 years?
For us, usually that's true. Um, Quality, we are in an industry such where quality triumphs. Um, will that be holding true for all sectors? Maybe not to that extreme, but yes, I would say that. See, I think the to build this is a very personal bias. To build something well, to have a good company, your company has to be known. You over time you'll create a certain brand. Right now, that brand is known for certain promises you deliver. That promises delivery is just another different word for what's the quality promise you have, right? So quality does matter. Now, growth for us happens through quality. In services, you are not going to be okay with something which is fancy and gimmickry, but uh, like plumber was told to fix the pipe. He didn't fix the pipe. It doesn't matter what else he did, like the job was not done. So for us, quality, out of all things we could do, quality is the most important thing. That always has to be top notch. Hence, investing in training makes obvious sense. Us having very strong quality engines make perfect sense. Us having incentive platform for partners to keep evolving themselves and improving is very directly related to our growth itself. So I would say for us, like quality and growth are coupled. They don't come at the cost of another, because whenever we improve drastically quality of a category, growth actually follows that. Unfortunately, ultra has not been true. Of course, there have been journeys where we've pursued ideas and stuff, where sometimes quality also takes a trade-off. Uh, right? Sometimes you grow maybe too quickly, or I don't know, you've not cracked quality in something. Oh, us it's always been tricky, because eventually you kind of figure, it's not landing. Your experience is not materializing and helping the customer. So yeah, it goes hand in hand for us. Long story short.
Right. And so you've gone, like you mentioned, you made the pivot for training your service providers around 2017, and now it's 2026, almost 9 years. And Urban Company has also grown exponentially. It has seen a phenomenal growth in terms of the customers it's serving, in terms of the service providers that are there on the platform. What systems have you built in order to ensure that the quality is not diluted when you grow? And it ensures that the systems work themselves. Like you don't have to get your hands dirty all the time when there's a growth spurt.
I think the first foremost has been training. We invest very, very deeply into training our fleet, upskilling them, giving them the tools, products. That's a mammoth effort. That's a mammoth effort in cost. It's a mammoth invest effort in terms of, like, we have every city will have training centers which will require them sent like internal teams as well. Uh, and that's an important facet of business. Uh, Now to do that, you also then have to get really good with managing operations, right? So there we put a lot of automation in place. So you kind of automate. I mean, it's the same difference as running uh, an operation which is 10 people, wherein 10 people, a human might do a better job. Uh, because when you automate, you're trying, like, humans, extra magic gets lost when you're automating, right? But when you have like 1,000 people, when you have 50,000 people, uh, their human errors become compoundingly significant. So then you have to push through a lot of digitization, automation, and so on and so forth, right? So how training happens, every partner is trained. There's a lot of automation, and how do you kind of figure if they're doing a good job, bad job, um, helping them and help resolve, like, there's a whole vertical for partner support, which kind of does a dual job, right? It helps them with their problems as well, but we kind of leverage that to tell them, hey, this is where you've been struggling. Why don't you improve this skill set? Giving them an insight about, you've not been doing, uh, I don't know, like, you've not been doing this particular type of haircut well, or this facial, you kind of been getting bad ratings. What's up? What's happening? Can I connect you to a trainer? Right. So, this forms an operations automation layer. On the job is where our automation is the strongest, because there we can't send supervisors. Every single customer or partner is going, how do you kind of really ensure someone has done a great job? So that's where our tech completely takes over. It starts with, basic things like making sure Raghav was your plumber, carpenter. It is in fact Raghav, and Raghav is not sent Bablu, just to kind of fleece you, right? So we do like impersonification checks. Um, when I kind of build a quote for you, we'll have checks to make sure that, hey, uh, let's diagnose the problem well. And the customers actually don't know all of this, right? So, for example, when you call a cleaner in your house, they will actually go click photos. And what's happening behind the scenes is those photos go through our quality engine, where the quality engine is making an assessment that, hey, okay, you want to clean the pot or the sink area, right? Now there's a before after, and you're able to figure out, have you cleaned it well, not, right? Have you actually applied the right procedure to even reach the end result or not, right? And all of that happens kind of behind the scene, um, which kind of really helps boost quality on the ground. And I would say it's been so many years us trying to have build this. We are still nowhere close to perfection. It's a very, very tough problem. Uh, but yeah, we are in the era of Chat GPT and Claude, so certainly some things become easier as well now. But it's a fun engine. I love automation of operations, and this quality engine is kind of my favorite topic. So
Nice. I think the fact that you're talking about automation, and this is I'm digressing a bit from urban company here, because I also know that you being an engineer, and you have also handled automation at urban company. So for all the people, and this is a completely question that I would want your advice on, for our entrepreneurs here in the room who are not from a tech-based business, how much do you think automation is important in today's day and age of AI? And where should they start if they have to start? Which area of the business they should start with? Like you're mentioning a lot about operations. I was curious if operations is the one you would say they should go for.
I think, anyways, historically operations can easily be automated, depending on the scale and shape and size. But I would say that in this era of LLMs and GPTs and Claude, I think it's extremely critical for everyone to be very, very savvy with it, right? And I can already see that magic happening. I mean, GPT's been there for 2 years, right? Every year there's a new inflection point, right? So today, like, yes, last year, if you asked me the same question, I would have given you a lot of gyan on how the future will look very different. Right now, you're asking me this question. I'm gonna say it's already here. Uh, basic things, right? So I'll give you an example. Everyone will be from different businesses, so it will be very hard to uh, sound wise. So I'll just give personal examples. Um, in our company, there are people who will have a lot of emails. Abhi, emails get skipped all the time. How do you know important versus not important, right? So it's very easy to now build a simple bot which will say, hey, these are the important emails. You want to reply? You can, in fact, just tell, yeah, go reply. It will figure out a reply and go like fast forward that process. I have to uh, build reports, right? So I have to kind of figure out in my team who's doing a good job or not, right? So we use this platform called Slack. You can have WhatsApp, Slack, whatever you use internally. Uh, if I have to kind of figure out, has this topic been ever discussed? It's actually super easy for me. I just ask, I use Claude. So I'll ask Claude, it'll go figure out all conversation and tell me, yes, this is what has been talked before already. This is the decision already made. This is what you should think through next. Uh, in engineering, all work is documented. So if you have documentation in your org, right? Like if all work which is there is in some way or shape or form digitized, it's actually very easy to build evaluation. So because engineers write code, I have a 200-member engineering org. I literally can just, without asking my managers, I can build a report on every individual, figuring what's their productivity, what's their quality score, what kind of work they've been doing, etc. Right? So this is very basic kind of uh, self-management automation. Um, but yeah, you can go beyond. I've used these things as my mini legal consultant. I've used these things as my mini architect, where I'm trying to figure out my own personal, home construction. Um, and to the question you asked, I think that's the secret. You're not from an engineering background, so hence, is it important? And if it's important, how do you even get on with this journey? I think the beauty is you don't have to be from a tech background. Uh, that's what has become actually really, really easy now. So I'm sure, for example, if all your in businesses, uh, marketing would be a big headache for everyone, right? You have to market. For marketing, you need content. For content, of whom do you go find? You find an agency or you find this like kid in your family to be like, hey, coach, just help me out with ABCD. Uh, Game changer. All the small businesses, what small businesses? We ourselves have stopped using agencies by and large. We just tell some like one of these Gen AI bots to help us build a creative, and it's just so quick. It takes 2 minutes versus 2 days. Quality is like 20x better, uh, and I can create like 10 versions in a matter of 5 minutes, right? So, um, yeah, super important, game changer. Don't need to know tech. You need to keep trying. I think not feeling scared and trying shamelessly is usually the trick which will get you over the hump.
Thank you so much. We have quite a lot of appreciation in the chat box. So I'm going to make you travel back a little bit again to the beginning of Urban Company. So Company raised its first round of funding in 2015. That's been just 1 year since operations. My question is, how easy or difficult was it? And how how did you manage like investor expectation with your own goals that you as founders have set for the company? How did you balance both of these?
How easy was it and how did we manage expectations? Um, so interestingly, our first round happened by chance. So every company has a different personality, right? And usually founders' personality kind of gets imbibed. So if you kind of know the three of us, you'll realize we three are very heavy on actioning. Uh, we're very heavy on critical thinking, which kind of really works. So what we did was first month before we started, we went to one of our mentors, right? These are Kunal and Rohit, Snapdeal founders. So we kind of knew them. So we went to them, CK, this is our idea. What do you think? They shared something which we kind of strongly believe in now, because now we've gone through the journey. कि आइडिया में कुछ नहीं है, तुम लोग एग्जीक्यूट करो फिर आना, राइट? बिकॉज आइडियाज तो सबके अच्छे होते हैं. तो देखा फिर. So in 1 month, we went back, we created a website and a product. We like got like a ball rolling with few customers off the fly, is what I was saying. Khan market jaake ye wo karke, right? And we went back to them again after a month. They said they were quite impressed, surprisingly, right? They were like, "Oh, you guys actually did it." Uh, and just because we were able to get past this 1 month, right? Uh, and now I've also realized what their learning was. People take a lot of time in thinking space and spend very little time doing, especially in very early stages when you're trying to build something, right? Uh, True learning really starts when you actually go through that journey of building. So because we went back in a month with something, traction was very barely, right? It's like the first day of a company. What traction will anyone gauge? I think because they were happy and excited that these founders might have it in them to do something. I don't know what they might do, but they have potential. They kind of extended a check. Um, that was a surprise for us. So that gave us a boost. That's what made us raise our first proper round, which I don't think we would have planned. Our initial plan was we're going to pool in our personal money. 6 months is going to last. We have 100 by 100, like 10 by 10 square foot office, like 100 square foot office. उस ऑफिस में 5 लोग भर के 6 months we'll slog it out. If it doesn't work, then chalo, we'll figure it out then. That was the default plan. So money raise happened, gave us a boost. That's when things like you accelerate team building, you accelerate, okay, now you have money to properly market. So you kind of start to market. Rounds after that were more proper rounds, right? Where we wanted, it was more planned. You kind of wanted money, you kind of meeting investors. There you kind of show traction, show your vision, show your idea. So yeah, that was kind of the journey after that. But first round was, I think, very unique and different. How do we manage investor expectation? Is a interesting. I don't know if you've ever had to manage expectation. Um, we, I think we already so self-critical that us and investors have kind of always enjoyed a good relationship. Um I think if you're doing it right, if you have everyone's interests addressed in that place, right? For example, you are growing in a healthy fashion. Uh, you're building it with your right morals intact. Uh, your quality standards are good. I think everyone's usually very happy. Um, so our investors have not been so much of an investors and pain to manage relationship. They've actually been very helpful, advisors and sparring partners. And so three founders, you have like now a bunch of other people who are also questioning your ideas and giving ideas at the same time.
Nice, interesting. One thing that you mentioned here was like, I think it's I would say a jewel to take off is that execution is the, I would say, crown here. So when you talk about execution, I'm sure there must have been a lot of iterations that Urban Company has gone through over the years. And there must even been a lot of things that never saw the light of the day. A lot of discussions that might have gone. We see the growth, we see the numbers, but we don't see these things. So is there a process or is there any, I would say, benchmark that you apply to when you're bringing in something new or when you're iterating that this would go and this would not go? How is it that you decide?
How do we decide like if an idea is good, bad, etc.? I think some things which are very simple we've done over time. Well, this is the consultant DNA at UC. Is getting a sense of, is this going to be big? Assumption is, if this works, will it be big enough for us? Right? Why is this important? Because so many times you find something interesting, it's a very personal anecdote, you'll go build it. It works really well for the first 100 customers, for example, right? 100 is relative. I mean, different businesses, different numbers, but it works well for the 0 to 1. And then it stops working. And it stopped working not because your idea or execution was bad, but because the market you were going after was very small, right? So you have to make sure that that is, in line with the dreams you have for that particular idea, right? So this is usually the first question we'll ask, that are we messing up on how big is it or not, math. Uh, then we ask, what is the problem statement we're trying to solve? Very important question. And as simple as a question it is, it's actually super hard to, uh, you know, find a good answer. Um, if you don't know what problem you're solving for whoever you think your audience is, it'll be very hard for you to. First step is easy. First step, you'll just build anything and launch. But the second step is where you start to ask questions here. You know, customers aren't coming to me as much as I thought. Why? Right now, the answer to that why is, what was the problem you were trying to solve in the first place, anyways? Right. So, what's the problem you're trying to solve is usually important question we debate a lot about. Third question is not a blocker question. We kind of ask why will we win this? So, okay, market is big. Yes, there seems to be a genuine problem. Now, why will we do a better job than anyone else? Right. So that question is usually left open-ended at UC. But it's an important question we kind of mull over every once in a while. It kind of helps you answer things like, are there other competitive, like other people in the market who have a much better chance of solving this, right? If the answer is yes, that means you have to, as a company, do much more than what you're thinking. You can still win it, but the reality is you have to compensate for someone else having some advantage over you. If it's super easy, right? If it seemed like a very obvious insight, uh, then you have to kind of think about, well, if it's so obvious, why haven't other people done it? So you kind of unfold another layer of, okay, maybe it's not that obvious. Maybe if I ask 10 customers, they'll give an insight. So right to win becomes an interesting way to benchmark. Are you having the right assumptions when you're kind of going about it? But yeah, broadly three questions. Is the market big enough to the expectation? What's the problem you're trying to solve as blockers? Third one is just a reality check of, why do you think we will win if we had to execute? These three kind of helped us make a lot of good judgment calls on not doing ideas which in theory will only fail. This is still simple. I think the tougher things are when you're actually building something because you believe in it. Seeing that journey is very hard in terms of right and wrong. You're building something, obviously 8 out of 10 times things will not go perfectly. Right. So you kind of go back to the drawing board. Now, how much of a drawing board you go back to? Do you kind of quit on that category or idea? Do you kind of again rethink everything again? Or is it a matter of, just two more things have to be done and maybe that's enough for us to see traction? That's a judgment call, which is very hard. So there's no good answer. That's where, the perseverance is king, but also there's a right time to quit. Uh, both the devils play in your mind, and yeah, I think that's an art in entrepreneurship. There's no right answers there.
I think that's, I would say, a brain scratcher you've just opened up for everyone to think about. Probably everyone is going to go back and start thinking about their products. So, uh, another thing that I'm going to talk about, and this is a much, I would say, talked about pivot that Urban Company has made, and that is from Urban Clap to Urban Company when Urban Company went global. And you were also at the helm of that transition. And in today's day and age, a lot is talked about perception, consumer perception, and branding and the brand name itself. How important do you think that is, and how much that transition from Urban Clap to Urban Company has helped Urban Company itself when it went global?
Interesting. So when we made the change to our name, we were going international, right? So, uh, we were going international. At that point, we were also kind of adding categories. So a strong thesis internally in our brand team was urban company you can extend to urban spa or urban company spa. And it gives you company parent vibe, and you can have many brands inside in the future. Other thing was, and I don't know if this is a joke from someone else or this was something true internally, going into Australia at that point, and uh, the word clap had a double meaning. So some people were scared that this is not going to be pursued well. So name change happened. We obviously did a very safe name change. UC was UC, Urban was Urban, Clap became company, so it was not a swinging for the fences either. Uh, but I don't think name change doesn't matter. I truly, for me, in terms of brand building and image, what you do over time will build your brand. What is the name? What is the logo? What is the color? These things keep changing and they won't truly matter. I mean, there could be very silly things you could do. So you want to avoid silly mistakes. Uh, but yeah, I think the work will speak for itself. So brand building, I don't think has much to do with. Um, I'll give you very simple examples, right? In today's world, our company would need a digital website. I could choose a website name which is very, very tough. That will be a bad mistake because in the early days when I'm telling, hey Sufra, why don't you go to our app or website? You need to remember the app or the website name. So to that purpose, I want to choose my naming and branding, like that part, to do the operational job. Uske baad it's your company's work, right? So what really matters for our brand building is the quality we have, the categories we serve, the innovation we bring. Um, the customer connect also starts to matter a lot. So there's Mother's Day today. We've launched a beautiful Mother's Day campaign, right? It has to be tasteful. It has to be on point with whom you think you are, uh, right? And that kind of adds an extra layer. But बेस ही आपने नहीं ठीक किया, सर्विसेज ही नहीं जा रही हैं, is brand not going to matter. It's not going to save you.
I think it's the same theory that we said that the marketing cannot save you if the product is not,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Marketing only
So
amplifies. So it'll amplify bad product, it'll amplify good product. That's the beauty of it. But it's not the product.
before I open the floor for our participants to ask you a question, one last question is, especially early on, because you were very involved with building an urban company from scratch, like you mentioned yourself, you used to go to Han Market and ask people. One of the things that early stage entrepreneurs struggle with is delegation. They're so attached with what they're building that they don't trust that other people will handle it with the same passion, I would say, with the same care that they would. So how do you think that should be tackled?
Tough one. Everyone has a style, and you have to live with the negative parts of your style. So I, for example, uh, I'm a very attached leader. I'll be very, very passionate. My team not always says this with a praise, but they say that I'm a perfectionist. I take it as a praise so that I'm always a happy cookie. Uh, right. So the negative of that kind of style is yes, sometimes it's hard to work in a team. So what you have to do is you don't have to see if you're a person or a personality who's, and by the way, not all entrepreneurs would be micromanagers. There's some entrepreneurs who are very good with delegation and set up great teams under them. So it's a bit of a personal leadership style preference, but you can always compensate for the rough edge of your personality, of your leadership personality, right? So uh, if I'm someone who is prone to being super ghusu, like really into the task, perfecting it, uh, the team will be chasing me, team will not feel empowered, right? Now, how do I reverse engineer that? Well, I can reverse engineer that. I can do that by not doing it myself. I can ask smart questions. Uh, so I might have an answer in my mind, but I'm not going to share it with the team. I'm going to reverse engineer and pose it as a question. So they kind of learn and are responsible for the answer, but I'm also getting my perfection, right? So uh, you you can compensate for your rough edges. But it's very tough for me to be the yeah. Don't delegate. Don't you delegation is good. You should not be that paranoid manager. No, because I think I'm in the same bucket, and it's done me great.
I
Yeah,
think that's also there where your co-founders come into the picture. So I think that
I
must
think all
have.
three of us are like this. So
Oh, oh
it's a
my.
bit of a echo chamber.
Okay, okay, okay.
No, it's good. I think it's
So
it's good to be passionate. I would say it's good to be passionate. Uh, you will learn the mistakes you make even as a person. I think you should be humble enough to realize that you're not perfect. And you will make silly things. You will be a pain sometimes with your team, with your vendors, with your family. Uh, as long as you're open to that feedback, you will probably solve for it. Um, what you should probably not do, which I've kind of done myself, is when I was young and I heard the same kind of direction, I stopped being me. Uh, so which means the best parts of me, uh, anyways, were kind of compromised, and I was kind of very confused as who I am. So you should be you. You should evolve yourself, but you don't need to completely change because you know someone's saying this the right way.
okay, that's a great point for all of us to remember. I think throughout the entire chat today, you have left us with a lot of jewels that everybody will go back and think on. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for taking out more than 1 hour now for us on a Sunday morning. But before we bid you adieu, we would like to thank you, the Led By way. And I think this is what you'll really like it since you like the reactions. So I'd request all of you to please come on camera, show your hearts, and we will go ahead and take some memorable screen captures. Taking a screenshot in 3, 2, 1. Taking two more. 3, 2, 1. One more.
It's so sweet.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We look forward to you keep building, and we look forward to you soaring high. Thank you, Raghav, for doing this for us. We hope to have you back again very soon. Just
Hmm.
one advice that you will leave for entrepreneurs building in India of today, one thing that they should remember.
One advice is don't overthink, just do it. Remember, you're choosing a tough path. So of course there is risk which you already calculated in your mind. But yeah, just go for it. Don't waste precious time in thinking. You will get a lot more learning when you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this and for the rest of the morning as well. It was an absolute honor for us to have you here at LedBy.
Pleasure's all mine, guys, and this has been one of the most exciting and enthusiastic crowds in a long time for me as well. So, led by is clearly doing something quite magical, uh, and very, very sharp, genuine questions. So, very, very happy to have met you all, and all the best. Yeah,
We're very glad that it was worth your time. Thank you. Have a
happy
great
Sunday.
Sunday, everyone.